Okay. I need you to lean in for a second because what we're talking about today, nobody warned us about. Our mothers weren't sure, our friends didn't tell us, or if we did hear about it, it seemed like it was just a few people, not most of the people. There's this moment, and maybe you've already hit it, where the roles that used to define you start to quiet down. Kids don't need you as much anymore. The career that you built starts to feel like somebody else's dream. And you're left standing there thinking, wait, who am I now? Here's what I want you to know that question is not a crisis, it's an invitation. I'm Doris, and this is the Better You team, coaches. Who's ready to go deep on this one?
Oh, that's a great topic.
Yeah.
We're all ready.
Yeah.
And we're leaned into.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, I have a question for you. You work with women in major life transitions. What does it actually look like when someone is standing at the edge of their second chapter, but they don't even know it yet?
That we all go through that phase, maybe a couple of times, not only once. And this kind of a shift it doesn't have a drum roll. It does not announce. It doesn't just like gives you any warning. No drama. It just happens. And it happens so quietly that you don't even realize like how like since when you've been feeling like that, right? But when you start feeling it, don't think that this is the end of s- something that's happening. This is just the beginning. So it is a beginning of something beautiful is going to aspire, or something going to be turned out to. So I would say when you feel that shift, I know it's not pleasant. It is unsettling sometimes. So I would say take that moment and acknowledge that something is happening. You're going through a transition. Transition is not easy. It takes time. So once you start feeling that, you start to feel incomplete, like it is the misalignment.
Yes. But that initial feeling of being off or not quite fitting into your life anymore or anything like that, you mentioned it's being a life alignment, right?
From what you've been doing, what you've been known as, and now what are feeling is different. And as a woman, we've taken so many roles since our childhood, and we aspire to be a mother or a caregiver or someone's to be more responsible of. And at this one stage of our life, we start to leaning towards ourselves, leaning into our what do we need? Whom are we aligning with, right? So those alignments, then we start to think, am I thinking being more selfish? Am I just thinking about myself? Those kind of questions comes to in our mind, and we start to feel guilty because we never learned how to draw boundaries. We always think boundaries meaning, most of us think boundaries meaning being harsh, we're being selfish. We're not. So that's not right. That's not true either. So when I work through my clients as well, with them, we also show them how to set boundaries, like healthy boundaries, right? That also helps you to determine what you're aligning with, what you're comfortable with, and what you're not. And speaking about it, letting others know, because if you don't express it, then how would other people know? They can read your mind,
Right.
right?
Almost like the work is not matching your outer life is not matching your inner.
Inner life. Yes.
So, Shelley, what happens when the outer life has changed, but the inner story has not caught up yet?
Mhm.
I think, when we've been in a role for a while, we embrace an identity of who we are, our purpose, and we lean into that, whether it's our career and how we identify so deeply with the things we do in our careers or our jobs. It's our family, and how we deeply connect to the roles that come with being family, with maybe raising your children. And then suddenly something shifts, you know, and maybe it's the child leaving home. Maybe it's the end of a relationship. Maybe it's moving out of a career or into a new job. That person that you've been for all that time, that's who you identify with. And so then there's a it's a new reality. It's painful. And maybe it's a positive move. Maybe it's like a job moving into something better. But all kinds of things will happen, and sometimes there's a terrible grief that comes with leaving that behind. If you've been in a job for maybe 10 years and then suddenly you leave it, you leave also all those relationships and all those connections and that place of like a real identity. All those people is fantastic. And all of a sudden, you're starting again. And that's painful. So there's grief. And then there's that other piece like, do I really deserve this? Is this exactly what do I really deserve it? And old insecurities start waking up because the direction is new. We're in a place of discovery. How is this all going to be? Who are the new connections and networks that we're going to create in this process? And sometimes we can't believe that it's actually happening. And we didn't plan for this. We didn't know what this was going to be like. All of a sudden, we're not needed in the same way anymore, perhaps. And our kids aren't sharing with us the way they were before, or they're not phoning, they're not texting. We don't actually know what they're doing. Where are they? Who am I now? Like, I'm not making their lunches. I'm not connecting every day. I don't know what they're doing. Or if it's the loss of relationship, all of the pieces of that relationship that you were so accustomed to, whether it's, a loss because of a death or a loss because of a divorce, all those things are transitions. And yeah, you have to go through a spell where you come back to yourself and rediscover who you are. It is something beautiful though, as you transition into a new identity. And so you have to become aware, as I believe Sarah said. And, you know, um, I think journaling can be really helpful, talking about it. You know, I even think hypnotherapy would be very useful in this process to, revisit what was and then move into what is and make kind of not a decision, but perhaps a dream about who you're going to become and begin to write that into your life to create that new identity. Small steps, tiny experiments, and discoveries about who you are and who you want to become.
I love the way that you put that, Shelley, and almost like you're writing a book, you're defining the characters and then you're creating that next, what's going to happen in your next chapter, right? Who you're going to become, as you said.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, lots of times we think we're ready for this, whatever it is. And then we discover that, hey, I never thought about that. I thought it was going to be like this. And it isn't. It isn't the way I expected at all. So life is about making plans and then making new plans.
Yeah.
And um, I guess delving into the joy of it and embodying the change little by little.
Um, yeah, you just reminded me of like a transition that I'm still going through actually. Um, my son went away to college. And so during the winter or during the school season, he's living on his own. Like he has roommates and stuff, but he's completely independent. When he comes home from school holidays or for 4 months over the summer, the dynamic is completely shifted and totally different than when he left because he's an independent man now. And yet he comes into our family home. And we're still seeing him as that same boy who left, but he's not that same boy anymore. So the dynamic and trying to learn how we go together for 4 months before he leaves and then we start all over
Huh.
again. Right. It's not a bad transition, but it's just not something I expected, not something anyone talked about. I've heard the term empty nest, but what happens when the birds come home for vacation, right? Like
Yes.
so that's a whole new thing that I'm navigating right now. So transitions can come in so many different ways. But Shelley mentioned hypnotherapy being helpful. So Tiffany, I wonder, at the subconscious level, why do so many women resist stepping into who they become next, even when maybe part of them desperately want to take that on already?
Well, that's a great question. And I think very simplistically, it's because on a deep level, our subconscious is primarily responsible for one thing, and that's keeping us safe and in the familiar. So if change feels threatening in any way, um, our subconscious will tend to employ strategies that were often formed at an earlier time in life to keep you where you are, but it's as a protection mechanism. So it's not trying to hinder you, it's actually trying to be helpful and useful in keeping you, safe in what you know. So even though it seems like, oh yeah, I can make this great transformation, or I can move forward, it's still so scary that subconsciously, and it just means that this is where you're not aware of what's going on, right? So you might be procrastinating or a perfectionist, or you're like, well, you make up all these reasons, which are kind of excuses, but really that's your subconscious stepping in, right, to kind of keep you safe. So, working with coaching and hypnotherapy, it can kind of gently update the subconscious mind so it learns that growth isn't so dangerous, but can be safe and even exciting. And then you can start moving forward from there.
Awesome. Yeah. Hypnotherapy is so powerful.
It's amazing. And I need to use it more on myself. But yes, absolutely. It's absolutely fascinating, right? And you can do parts therapy work with this kind of stuff, so you can actually bring forward parts like perhaps your inner child, and you can negotiate. You can try to understand what's going on with that part, negotiate things with that part, and um, and then bring forth another part that actually does want to move forward. And it's so interesting and incredible, like how that works on a subconscious level. And then, it really helps people to take that next step.
Now, Joyce, I was just thinking back on something that Sarah had talked about earlier about taking small steps forward. If someone was to come to you, um, they're unhappy because of this transition, because of this new place that they're in, this new chapter that they're in. What is one small step that you might recommend? Of course, it always depends on their situation, but generally, what might be one?
That's a great question. And, you know, I think if they're in that place of, and I've been there, um, readjusting and they want to be happier, I think one of the things that I can recommend to them is really to um, start by writing down what is joyful and what makes them happy right now, right? Maybe what even used to make them happy and what doesn't make them happy anymore or joyful anymore. Sometimes people have a tendency to keep some of those things that have made them joyful in the past. Okay. Um, I love little kids. I love being a mother of little kids, but I don't have any little kids anymore. Right. So the realizing of that and then going in to be a grandmother and having little kids again, but in a different way, it can adjust and change your joy and your happiness for sure. Well, that's what I think I would recommend to them is write down. Let's start by writing down all your values always first. Second of all, what makes you joyful and what doesn't at this point in time so that we can work on moving forward with what does and take away the stuff that doesn't. And just be aware of that.
Say that in the process of transition also, that sometimes we're so busy thinking that if it's a good transition, we don't deserve it, that we forget to know how to receive,
Mhm. Mhm.
to receive the goodness that's coming our way.
There-
So, and you're going into that new job, whatever it is, a promotion or a new experience, and we're so accustomed to um, not being worthy on some level, not being good enough, or having to work really, really hard, or thinking that we do
Mhm.
to actually prove our worth. We forget to welcome in all that's beautiful in that experience and to receive the goodness that's coming with it. And
Absolutely.
Like the goodness of grandchildren, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The goodness of grandchildren. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Beautiful moments in the changes that are coming in our lives.
That's
Yeah.
what you just said, that second chapter, it's actually beginning of the moment we realize that it is not something we're starting over. We are actually bringing our expertise, we're bringing our wisdom, we're aligning with ourselves now, our true purposes. So it is really beautiful. It is really something beautiful that we're going to experience going forward. So it is definitely not a crisis, and it is your calling. So
Sometimes things have to fall away or fall apart for new things to grow, and I really like that.
I love that.
Absolutely. I love that. Things have to fall away or fall apart.
beautiful.
Yeah.
100%. I like I said, I've gone through that and I wouldn't change anything.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
to be working in something I love, my passion, to be able to travel, to be able to do what I wanna do when I wanna do it is, um, absolutely phenomenal for me, right?
Mhm.
And had I not gone through that change, I wouldn't have necessarily had that, or I may not have um, had this chance, and I may not have met all of you. So that's huge as well.
Yeah, you had the opportunity to learn what your values are and what brings you real joy, right?
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, we're not conforming to the existing or in the past what we were taught or we were given to. Now we are taking that step. The leap is what we want, what you want, what is aligned to you. So it is becoming your true self, and it's so beautiful, so freeing. So that is beautiful when you're going to that transition and becoming that butterfly.
Life's really funny, isn't it? Because we
Mhm.
start out trying to figure out what everybody wants us to be,
To
and
fit
then
in.
trying to do what
Mhm.
everybody thinks we're supposed to do. And then there's this kind of twisting of things going, wait a minute, that's what everyone said we should be doing. maybe that's not what I really wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
But life becomes a real journey. Then we start moving into growing into ourselves. And we do that not not just once, but often several times in our lives.
Yeah, we were conforming and now we're transforming.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Love that. We were confirming and we're transforming. Love it.
excellent.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right, ladies. I want to say thank you all for being here today. And for you who's at home or in the car or wherever you're listening to this, and if you're standing at the edge of your next chapter and you're not sure what's on the other side, but you want to find out and you're scared, that's exactly what discovery calls are for. So book yours with a coach at the betteryou.coach/team website. Discovery call is free and you will get next steps. So this way you can make an informed decision as to what is best for you. Thank you so much, coaches, for being here and having this amazing discussion with me. And I can't wait to see you next time. So see you there. Oh, hey, thanks for watching. Since you watched this video, we thought you might really like this video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe right there for more great videos. Plus, tap that notification bell so that you don't miss any videos at all. Comment your thoughts below and see you next time.